Damond Williams might have the power to change college football forever.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in. It is a Locked On College crossover of Hoosiers and Nittany Lions. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. He is Zach Seyko of Locked On Nittany Lions. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, making both of our respective shows your first listen or your first watch every single day, and for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcasting network in the world. We have so much to go over on today's show. We'll make predictions for the college football playoff because, believe it or not, the semifinals are here. We'll talk about both games at the end of today's show. But Zach, Damond Williams and Washington in a massive argument, disagreement, and probably legal battle.
It's a simple misunderstanding, right?
Yeah,
this is just, it happens, right?
Yeah,
Accidents,
just a couple of $1 million. There may or may not have been a signature somewhere.
Backstabbing your team.
But Damond Williams very well might have the power to change the future of college football and college athletics forever, depending on how this situation plays out in Seattle.
If the NCAA does anything about it. Yes, so he has the potential, he has the power, but it's only if the NCAA finally does something. So this is where we have two segments to really go through this, because this is not just let's just hit this on the surface level. No, we got to start digging here. Damond Williams, look, you signed an agreement first and foremost. Let's start there. You made the decision. I don't care what LSU came over to you and said, hey, here's what we have in an agreement, because clearly LSU wanted Brendan Sorsby, or they were targeting Rocco Becht as well. And then I guess things didn't work out with Sam Levitt for whatever reason, or maybe they'll circle back to him, but here's the thing. They're going to end up with Damond Williams. This is how this is going to go. I don't see anybody stopping this. Washington wouldn't be recruiting former Penn State quarterback Bo Pribula if they didn't see the writing on the wall with this. So yes, Damond Williams has the power to change college athletics as we know it. But we kind of did see this last time around. I don't remember his name, but the Wisconsin player that ended up transferring over to Miami.
Yeah.
So is this kind of, first time we're going to let it slide, second time, this can't keep happening. It really is out of control. And it's been great reporting. The reporting that Ross Dellinger has done over at Yahoo to leak the agreements and how these other schools operate. You basically need private equity, whether it's out in the open like Utah or something that's behind the scenes that is bankrolling your roster. And the clearinghouse and what NCAA does, the NCAA has the power. They just don't want to go to court about it because they lose almost every single time. At some point, you got to say, this is our league. We have rules. You need to follow them. I don't understand why that argument isn't made on a legal basis, because the players, the coaches, the billion-dollar donors don't get to run the league. The NCAA does. Okay, imagine if Major League Baseball, the players and the team said, we're going to make up all the rules and Major League Baseball has to. No, that's not how it works. The league is designated as it is. The NCAA can do the same thing. They're just scared. So it's time to put up or shut up again, or we're going to have this fiasco play out, because this sets precedent one way or another, either for the ideal and the foundation of the sport, or that you can back out of any agreement at any point in time. Damond Williams is a star player. He is known. And it's going to set precedent to say, oh, I can do this also. Insert player ABC later on in the future, and more of them, not just one-off examples.
Well, what we've talked about for several years now, right, is the separation between college athletics and professional athletics. Let's stick to football here for obvious reasons. The difference between a college football player and a professional football player was the money they were making, which used to be nothing, quote unquote, nothing in college, versus the millions they were making in the NFL, plus having a signature on the dotted line, right? A college guy was a student athlete. He was a student at said university, at Penn State, at Indiana, at Washington, but was also playing football. Now we're entering this era where you just happen to go to a class or two or get on and take a test online on a Friday morning before you go through walkthroughs, and you have a signature on a dotted line saying you're going to make X amount of dollars. 4 million seems to be the number thrown around for Damond Williams at Washington that he signed. That makes you a pro, Zach. You are obligated to fulfill that. And yet he said, nah, I'm good. I changed my mind. They actually offered me more money, so I'm going to leave and go to Baton Rouge. And good for Washington, good for the Big Ten also, because Tony Petitti, how crazy is it that he just happened to be in Seattle for some personal reasons and business? So he's now with the University of Washington talking them through this, and the Big Ten's already vocalized its opinion on we're backing our school and our institution, which you would expect them to do so. Yeah. And Washington's going after Damond Williams for as much money as they could get, which is crazy in itself, but I think it's the right move.
Let's also not talk about the other elephant in the room. As much as Damond Williams, don't hate the player, hate the game. LSU is the bigger culprit here. How did Damond Williams get this offer? Why does he know about it? Because back channel communication is agent to agent or agent to a family member or whatever. Damond Williams shouldn't even know about this offer. Okay. That is tampering at full force. And that's what I'm more frustrated with, because the NCAA needs to crack down on that, because these are not legitimate deals. If they actually went through the clearinghouse and the NCAA held up the regulations that they supposedly put in place, this would not even go through. Williams wouldn't even be able to entertain this because it's illegitimate. So it's simply pay for play. This was supposed to be, well, it's name, image, and likeness. It's a business deal. We are paying Damond Williams because no, it's pay for play. It's pay for play. And the fact that LSU under the table can slide a $6 million offer to Damond Williams, and there's basically, it seems like nothing Washington can do about it. Like I said, it sets a precedent one way or another. I don't know that it sets a good precedent, because we say, well, Damond Williams has the power to change college football off for the better, right? Because you're going to get more rules in place. You're going to get the NCAA to crack down on all of this. No. You're going to set you're going to have the power to set a bad precedent where it's just more chaos. There's no structure. The only thing that solves is, I'm not a legal expert and I'm not trying to pretend to be. I know that's what people are going to take away from this. Oh, Zach knows all the legalese and the ins and outs. And no, and that's not what I'm trying to imply. I'm giving you my opinion. And my opinion is that the NCAA is its own entity. Enforce your rules, because you are a league, and get everyone. But I think what the fear is that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to say, all right, we go start another league. You need us. We don't need you.
Yep.
Ooh, I can then, if I have that frame, and again, that's just a thought. That's an idea. I'm not saying the NCAA is being threatened by those leagues, but we've had these conversations now for 2-3 years.
Yeah. My opinion is the NCAA is weak and they can't do anything big, and they won't do anything. They know, because you said it, they get sued and they lose every time they go to court. They lose. And so if you are Lane Kiffin, LSU, Damond Williams, whoever and whatever, this is not the only situation. This is just the one that's become public, right? Yeah. This is just the one that has come to light. There's nothing that can be done. And these schools and coaches and players are going to continue to push the boundary until something gives, something breaks. And that's why we're saying Damond Williams and this entire situation has a chance to change college sports forever. We'll dive into this a little bit more and what Washington is currently doing to slow down the process and demanding some dollars out of all of this. More on this right after the break here on this Locked On crossover of Hoosiers and Nittany Lions. This Locked On crossover is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming at times, between subscriptions that you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has the time to track every transaction or hunt down all those hidden fees that start to stack up? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow grow your savings. I signed up for Rocket Money months ago. When they came on with us at Locked On, I gave them a try because I was one of those people that said, I know my bank account, I know my finances, I don't need help. But I tried them out, and sure enough, I was paying for multiple of the same streaming service. I had fees that were getting taken from accounts I had no idea even existed, and I started saving real money in my bank account that I could start to notice. That could happen for you. And so check it out with Rocket Money. You never know what's going to happen. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedoncollege. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, we continue in this Locked On crossover. He is Zach Seyko, host of Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. We appreciate you being here. Make sure you subscribe to both of our YouTube channels so you can keep up with all the crazy stuff that's going on around college athletics, the college football playoffs for myself, the transfer portal for both of us, wrestling season. I know Seyko has got you running wild right now there in Happy Valley as well. And so make sure you subscribe to our channels, follow us on your audio podcasting platforms. And the question that we have, kind of the big question with this Damond Williams Washington situation is, will this spark change? Will this actually create change? You seem to think, Zach, you were saying in the previous segment, change for bad, because you don't believe good things can come of this because nobody has the ability to do so. My thought is, when does somebody finally say no? When does somebody say no? We can't have this. We're not doing this. And I'm even more in the boat too of, when does a school finally decide we're not paying a quarterback $5 or $6 million? I mean, let's look at the Brendan Sorsby situation for a second. Texas Tech.
That dude's not worth $5 million. Are you kidding me?
He's a great quarterback, and I
you should know, actually. You got to scout him for a couple of seasons, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I would have loved to have had him in Bloomington again, but $5 million for 1 year, a 1 year rental in college football. They're paying him $5 million. That's more than Shedeur Sanders is making for his rookie contract in the Cleveland Browns. Does that not sound off to people? Does that not sound broken to you? It does to me. And so when does that start to help? When does common sense start to take over in all of this and kind of bring us back down to earth in college athletics?
I'll play devil's advocate just for the sake of it, because I'm on board and I agree, but I just want to throw out a different perspective. It's ugly, it's bad, it's weird, it's unethical, but we've never seen more competitive balance in college football. Now basketball, baseball, and I'm not here to make an argument across the board. It's worse. Okay, basketball. How many? It was all blue bloods at the end of the day. Okay, but with football, somebody on social media framed it this way: do you want it? It's terrible, right? It's unethical, but do you want it to go back to where it was just Alabama and Georgia, and Georgia, and Georgia? And it's like, okay, but is it really one way or another? Is that, I feel like that's a false dichotomy.
Yeah.
But it is true, right? Indiana is in the Final Four, Jacob, and it's because of NIL and the transfer portal.
No doubt.
Okay. This is because Alabama basically had NIL in the transfer portal for the longest time before that even existed.
No.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's just a myth. It's just a rumor.
They were clean.
It was, yeah. So that's what I mean. There were all the Big Ten schools were playing by the unwritten rule. Basically everybody else except the SEC, honestly. And because I thought that Shannon Terry, who's the the founder of On3, made an interesting comment. Texas Tech is like Alabama all over again. They just have the resources to really put themselves ahead. I haven't seen anything like this since the Nick Saban years at Alabama. That's you want to translate that? We'll put that into the Locked On translator here. That means that Alabama was basically you're basically saying that they paid players because no one could compete with them when it came to what they were doing back in the day, which is, I say back in the day, what, 5 to 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But that is what Texas Tech is doing. They have an unlimited, basically it seems like an unlimited source of money. There was one person who said, I'm going to commit millions to make sure Texas Tech wins a championship at some point in time or remains relevant year in and year out. And it's just simply the only thing that I can see happening. I don't know if it's going to happen for Texas Tech. I don't know if it's going to happen for a lot of other programs like Ohio State or Notre Dame. Penn State and Indiana might be able to survive this, but eventually buyer's remorse. Donors are eventually going to get fatigued. This is unsustainable.
That's what
the market. The market's eventually going to crash. The Brendan Sorsby 5 million math does not add up, and that can't happen every single year. Eventually the bubble's going to burst.
Yeah. And I've thought that for a long time, but my pushback to that is look at the professional sports model where big name athletes who sign big time contracts, they just continue to go up, right? How many times do we see so-and-so in the NBA?
They added more games, right? They added other TV contracts. So
but college football's done that, right? With the playoffs, you're adding more games and more TV revenue and things like that. My point to that is you just continue to see, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and now you're seeing the younger guys, Victor and SGA and all that, record-breaking deal, most money ever in the history of the league. They just continue to break records and set standards. And it's like, man, there's no way you can afford to pay that guy that amount of money, but yet they continue to keep doing it. And we're seeing that in college football too. Well, I just don't understand how it works.
The collective bargaining of a professional league versus there's no uniformity in college football. It's the SEC versus the Big Ten versus the Big 12 versus the ACC. The NCAA is just it's a shadow government that literally doesn't do anything. They are the worst shadow government in history of any sort of political realm, right? We know this. This is factually true. But when you compare it to the NBA and everything else, it's because they renegotiate their collective bargaining agreement, or if you're the NFL, you add a 17th game. That's hundreds of millions of dollars for 32 franchises. Well, is the NCAA or college football going to add a 13th game? Well, gee, I would hope not. That's just for player safety reasons. I would hope that's not the case. So the TV networks get more money from the college football playoff. Yes, the playoff teams that get in and play get a percentage of that, but that's not going to the competitive balance of what's happened now is we've basically divvied up the resources. Instead of Alabama and Georgia, and maybe you get Clemson in there, it is now Alabama, Georgia, which is good, right? You've increased the party size from 3, 4 to 15, but even still, it's still very top heavy. If you figure this out. So you are never going to see Purdue. You're never going to see, and I'm not here to advocate for them, but still know that it's all a sham. It's all a charade with what it is. The exclusive club expanded from 4 to 16 teams. And even when but just make the playoff 16, just make it 24, whatever. That doesn't mean 24 teams have an equal chance to get to the championship. Yeah. Okay. The FCS, there's a competitive balance there because there's not this overhaul of millions and millions of dollars that is there are millions of dollars influencing this game from rogue operations and parties. Yeah. That's why but here's the thing though. Anybody can get in the game if you have a billionaire donor. All right. So
which is sad to say, but it's true. Like Indiana, again,
it's inorganic.
I mean, I sound like I don't know, calling the kettle black or whatever, but it's like Indiana just happened to be one that's decided to do this. Indiana just happened to be the ones to go and find a head coach. And Mark Cuban said, hey, I want to be a part of that. That guy wins. I Googled him. He wins, right? And I want to be a part of that. I want to see what this does. And then you got lucky. You lucked into a lot of it if you're Indiana at the start. But then the university and the donors and everything else that comes with that decided to put investment funds into the football program. That's why Indiana's doing what it's doing. But you're right. A team like Purdue isn't going to do that most likely. I guess it could because people said it would never happen for Indiana. But I don't know, man. It can't. I refuse to believe it can keep going down this road. But I also at the same time, before we move on, I don't see how it ends, and I'm almost hoping that this Damond Williams Washington drama is the event that has all the adults in the room sit down and say, we have to do something about this. This is wrong. This is broken. This is nasty stuff we're talking about here. This has to change, because if not, we're losing viewership, man. I think people are tired of this. People don't want to watch this and keep track of this and deal with this. And it's not fun this way. And I think that has to change. And I hope that this situation can be that spark and that starting point for that.
It just goes back to my analogy of there's a few more seats at the table. Okay. Texas, all these schools like this because they have money to throw around. Texas loves it. Texas A&M loves it. Texas Tech. I know I'm naming a lot of Texas schools. LSU likes it.
Well, they have all the money.
Ohio State likes it. Notre Dame, USC, Penn State, Indiana now, because hey, they got somebody. They got Mark Cuban. They got somebody. Yeah. The sport's just so chaotic, but it's always going to hold together because the money is there. The money is pouring in terms of the product. People are watching the games. Maybe you get some people that are fatigued, but what? ESPN just put out the stats for all the bowl games. They're doing just fine.
Yeah.
We're doing just fine, man. So Damond Williams, like I said, he's not going to provoke positive change. It's only going to be more negative. It's only going to be more chaos. It's not going to be more structure. That's what this boils down to at the end of the day. Whether it's because the NCAA just stinks, they don't care, they don't want to do anything because they know that the Big Ten and the SEC can ruin them and put a lot of rich people out of their jobs. And I can understand that. I can understand being afraid of what's on the other side of door number 2. But you're just going to get more of this where Washington, we're not even talking about Purdue. Again, Purdue loses star player. Northwestern loses star player. This is Washington, who you would think is one of those top 20 schools that has a seat somewhere at the table.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy situation. We'll see how it all fizzles out, right? Does Washington get compensated? Does Damond Williams get what he wants? And who ends up with the short end of the stick? We'll see how it goes. But we are able to put this to the side because we have football tonight and then tomorrow in the college football playoff, both semifinals in the next 48 hours. We make our picks and predictions right after this. All right, final segment on this Locked On crossover. Hoosiers and Nittany Lions and the college football playoff is here. Zach, if you just want to dip out, I got this segment since the Hoosiers are.
All right, if you want to go solo, go for it. I was there last year. So do not do what Penn State did. Do not fire your head coach after a semifinals playoff appearance. If Indiana happens to lose, maybe they lose. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Now, Kurt Cignetti's a home run, and that's why Penn State made the move that they did, because in year 2, Kurt Cignetti wins a Big Ten championship, wins on the road at Oregon. It becomes a number 1 seed, and that's why Penn State said, well, we have the resources, we have the backing, we have the infrastructure. We can absolutely do what Indiana does. Or at least try. The problem wasn't, it was every time you got to the big game.
Yeah.
And then all the other stuff that James Franklin was, again, paying players well over their market value, allegedly, stuff like that. So
that's why they picked up the phone and said, hey, Sig, you want to come to Happy Valley? And he said, nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay.
I got Mark Cuban.
Yeah, I'm good to go. Why leave a place that'll never fire you? And so we do have the college football playoff. You've got game 1 tonight, game 2 on Friday. We'll start with game 1, which is Ole Miss and Miami, the semifinal matchup that nobody, and I mean nobody, had predicted in the college football playoff. I don't care. You did?
Whoa. Not Ole Miss, but if we're saying Miami of Florida, what did I tell you? I'm coming back on here. Because Miami, said for weeks that Ohio State was losing one way or another.
Yeah, you did. You did. But I don't think anybody had an Ole Miss to get to the semifinals.
Absolutely.
Everybody wrote them off against Georgia, right? Because of Kirby Smart and the talent that they have and the defense and things like that. And, of course, without Lane Kiffin there, too, they look better without Lane Kiffin. I said this the other day. Ole Miss loses that football game against Georgia if Lane Kiffin's the head coach last week. I believe that. I absolutely believe that he finds a way to lose that football game. But Pete Golding didn't. And Pete Golding beat Georgia and beat them pretty good. And now they go up against the best defense they will see all year, unless I think they play Indiana in the national championship game. But a top 2, top 3 defense in the country, no doubt about it. Miami is legit. Their secondary is ridiculous. That defensive line is completely nasty. And Carson Beck has continued to play good football, Zach. I'm waiting on him to screw up. It hasn't happened yet for Carson Beck. And so your thoughts and a pick for Miami and Ole Miss tonight before I tell you why the Hoosiers go and win a national championship.
Oh yeah, no, go for it. Yeah, the floor is all yours. Hey, I like. I'll start by saying I like Ole Miss here. Definitely to cover, right?
Okay.
I will take the points, but I'm going to take Ole Miss to continue. Momentum is a powerful thing. Okay, so Miami is rolling as well, but Ole Miss is playing with a kind of chip on their shoulder that Miami does not have. Okay. Your coach up and leaves you, abandons you. It's kind of like a prove it moment to not only Lane Kiffin, but to the rest of the country to say
Sure.
that, well, we weren't a byproduct of Lane Kiffin. We are a team. We are a program. I was looking to see, did any other assistants leave? No, everybody else was bought in. So Lane Kiffin got the party started, but everyone stayed behind and made it what it is now. So that's a team that I just like for momentum's sake. And it's not like it'd be different if it was, well, Mario Cristobal is this proven winner at the highest level, right? This is new territory for him. So if you're
Yeah.
going to say, oh, well, Pete Golding has no idea what he's doing, this is uncharted waters. It absolutely is for Mario Cristobal as well. Mario Cristobal and James Franklin were in the same category of not winning any big games. But now Cristobal has finally done it this year. And go figure, he beats Ohio State in the process as well. So I'll shut up about that. But I like Ole Miss. They are playing with some intensity. I'm going to buy in it now. When does that momentum run out? It might run out against Indiana in the college football playoff championship, but I don't think it runs out against a Miami team that is good at this level. But they're not elite. I don't truly view them as one of the best 4 teams. I think they got a good matchup against Ohio State. I would take Ole Miss to win. They can score. I know Miami's defense is good. And like you said, you're waiting for Carson Beck to mess up. He hasn't been in that situation yet.
Yeah.
Give me Ole Miss 31-24.
Wow, 31 points for the Rebels against the stout Miami defense. I don't think I could pick against them until they give me a reason to, which is crazy because I didn't believe in Miami all year. I was very vocal about
You had every reason to.
my discomfort for Miami because of the 2 guys you named, Mario Cristobal and Carson Beck, but they've turned it on. And if you can beat Ohio State, you can beat almost anybody because they are talented. They have a great defense, does Miami, and you now have a quarterback who's going to the NFL, to the Buckeyes, and Miami beat them and look good doing so. I'm picking the Canes because I think their defense will get after Trinidad Chambliss, who I think has looked like the best quarterback in the college football playoffs so far. He lit Georgia up and looked phenomenal doing so. And now he's trying to apply, right, for another year to come back and be the starting quarterback there in Oxford. But I don't think he can do that for 4 quarters against Miami. I think they're going to get home. I think that secondary is aggressive. They just feed off of turnovers and trying to squeeze balls in tight windows. I think he's going to have to do that. I trust Miami's defense to take care of this game. Carson Beck may have a pick or 2, but it won't be detrimental. I'll take Miami to get it done. Give me something.
Does he have 4?
No, I'm not predicting 4. If he does, they will lose. But I'll say 27, 13, 27, 14, somewhere in there. I'll take Miami to win and kind of pull away going down the stretch. And so then the other game, the one that, of course, I'm talking a lot about.
Not so consequential. It's not that big of a deal.
You just want to end the show right here.
60 seconds, just a quick take.
I've talked a lot about it already, and we'll have another episode on Locked On Hoosiers tomorrow with Spencer McLaughlin of Locked On Ducks. But Indiana, Oregon rematch again, the 4th rematch of the college football playoffs. Indiana, of course, went on the road to Oregon, beat the Ducks by 10 in Eugene, and both teams are different and better than they were in that matchup. But Seyko, your thoughts from the outside looking in on the Friday night game between Indiana and Oregon?
I'll start with health. Indiana got healthier as the season has gone on, and Oregon's got some bumps and bruises. You have Evan Stewart back, right? In the scheme of this, right? Go to Locked On Hoosiers, go to Locked On Ducks for all the insights there. But the red flags are up for me when it comes to Oregon and how healthy they are. Indiana was winning games despite not being at full strength. And now that they are, Elijah Surratt is back, right? You combine that with Omar Cooper and everything else that they're doing behind Fernando Mendoza and the two-headed monster at running back. Oregon is still a really young team. And Curt Cignetti has been in this situation at the FCS level. That counts. And all these assistants too. That counts for something. This is still, I think eventually Dan Lanning will break through, but he's still kind of inexperienced to this point. All right. He got absolutely clocks cleaned against Ohio State last year for obvious reasons. Again, that was new kid on the block type of situation. But then, okay, so Texas Tech's in that situation. But Oregon, I think, had a fairly favorable matchup there, right? I just don't know that I think Texas Tech at the end of the day was overrated. I'm going to take Indiana to win again and win decisively, because you got to do everything. This isn't one, okay, hey, let's just sneak by here. Let's just get by, get in, get out. No, Indiana could very well, look at the way they dominated Alabama. They could absolutely win this game against Oregon by 2 touchdowns. I'll keep the score at 10. I don't trust Oregon's offense as much as I would like to. I'm going to go Indiana 31-20. And that's probably because Oregon gets a late touchdown. I think this is one where Indiana's just a better team and well coached at the end of the day.
Well, Oregon's got a major injury at running back. Their second leading rusher, the freshman, their leader in touchdowns, is expected to be out for the rest of the year. Was banged up against Texas Tech, had surgery this week. So that's extremely unfortunate for the Ducks. I'll have more in a final score prediction on Locked On Hoosiers on our Friday episode on game day. But at the end of the day, until they give me a reason to do so, I am not betting against Curt Cignetti, that defense, and the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. Why would you? Why would you do it? Why would you bet against them until they give you a reason to do so? I genuinely think Indiana has the better quarterback, the better running back room, the better receiver room, the better defensive line. I think they're better in every facet, in every way. Better coaches as well. As crazy as that is, I think it's true. I do have this as a lower scoring defensive slugfest, though. I'll keep it there. I think this is a low scoring grind for Indiana to pull this thing off and take on the Hurricanes in the national championship. But more talk on that on Locked On Hoosiers on Friday's episode. Be sure you check that out on my YouTube channel and on your audio podcasting platforms. Check out Zach Seyko, of course, with Locked On Nittany Lions. He's got transfer portal coverage for you right now, wrestling coverage for you. Don't think you're talking a whole lot of shooty hoops over there, huh, Mr. Seyko?
Nope. They covered against the number 2 team in the country. So we take it,
baby. We love that. Hey,
I think you like this. I feel like this is a backhanded compliment, saying like, "Oh, we got playoff coverage over here." If you want to listen to Zach, well, he's got portal rumors. He's got wrestling.
Dude, your wrestling coverage is awesome. I like Penn State wrestling. I appreciate it. You talk about dominance at a college athletics program. It's Penn State wrestling. It doesn't get any better than that, man. So again, subscribe to both of our YouTube channels. We appreciate you being here. You are the reason we are the #1 sports podcasting network in the world. We are back tomorrow on our channels for normal episodes to Hoosier fans and Nittany Lions fans. So until then, stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.